Welcome back to Bitesize. Have you ever noticed someone who constantly apologizes for everything even when it's not their fault? Or someone who seems overly sensitive to criticism? These might be signs of something deeper lurking beneath the surface. Stay tuned till the end to uncover the hidden truths behind these behaviors and how they can be addressed. Understanding the impact of narcissistic abuse. Narcissistic abuse is a form of emotional and psychological manipulation that can have profound and long-lasting effects on its victims. This type of abuse is characterized by a pattern of behavior by a narcissist who seeks to control, diminish, and manipulate their target. The impact of this abuse is multifaceted and deeply insidious, often leaving invisible scars that can affect every aspect of a person's life. At its core, narcissistic abuse revolves around a power imbalance where the abuser uses various tactics to assert dominance and control over their victim. This can include gaslighting, a technique where the abuser denies and distorts reality to make the victim question their sanity. It can also involve constant criticism, belittling, and emotional blackmail, all designed to erode the victim's self-esteem and independence. Hypervigilance and constant alertness. Hypervigilance and constant alertness are profound and often misunderstood behaviors in individuals who have experienced narcissistic abuse. This state of heightened awareness goes beyond mere cautiousness. It's a relentless, exhausting vigilance that permeates every aspect of their lives. Imagine living in a world where your senses are perpetually sharpened, tuned to detect the slightest hint of danger or criticism. For survivors of narcissistic abuse, this is their reality. They have been conditioned to anticipate harm at every turn, a direct consequence of the unpredictable and often hostile environment created by their abuser. This constant state of alertness is not just a psychological response. It also has physical manifestations. These individuals may startle easily, have difficulty sleeping, or feel perpetually on edge. Their minds always race, analyzing every interaction and environment for potential threats. This can lead to exhaustion as their bodies and minds are never fully at rest. The world becomes a minefield where every step must be calculated to avoid harm. The cycle of over-apologizing and self-doubt. The cycle of over-apologizing and self-doubt in victims of narcissistic abuse is a particularly poignant and distressing behavior pattern. This cycle often begins when the abuser, typically a narcissist, consistently undermines the victim's confidence and self-esteem through persistent criticism and belittlement. Over time, this relentless negative feedback leads the victim to internalize a sense of unworthiness and inadequacy. As a result, they start apologizing excessively, even for situations or actions that are not their fault or beyond their control. This behavior is not just a superficial habit. It's a deeply ingrained response that stems from a profound fear of disapproval or further criticism. The over-apologizing is closely linked to a pervasive sense of self-doubt. Having been repeatedly told they are at fault, the victim begins to doubt their own judgment and perceptions. They may question their decisions, feelings, and even their right to have opinions. This self-doubt is crippling as it erodes the individual's ability to trust themselves and their instincts. It can lead to paralyzing indecisiveness and an over-reliance on the abuser or others for validation and decision-making. Sensitivity to criticism and the need for validation. One of the most profound and often overlooked consequences of narcissistic abuse is an acute sensitivity to criticism. Individuals whom narcissists have targeted frequently develop a heightened sensitivity to even the slightest critique or negative feedback. This is not merely a case of being overly sensitive. It's a deeply ingrained response mechanism. During the course of the abusive relationship, the narcissist typically employs criticism as a tool for control and manipulation. This constant barrage of negativity and fault-finding leads the victim to internalize the belief that they are inherently flawed or inadequate. As a result, even constructive or benign criticism can trigger intense emotional responses in survivors of narcissistic abuse. They may react with disproportionate defensiveness, anxiety, or even profound sadness. This heightened sensitivity often extends beyond direct criticism, including perceived slights or indirect negative feedback. The underlying fear is not just of being criticized, but of being fundamentally unacceptable or unworthy. The struggle with setting boundaries. One of the most profound challenges faced by survivors of narcissistic abuse is the struggle with setting boundaries. This difficulty stems from the intricate dynamics of a relationship with a narcissist, where boundaries are often blurred or completely disregarded. In such relationships, the abuser typically exerts control by undermining the victim's sense of autonomy, making it increasingly difficult for them to recognize and assert their limits. Survivors may find themselves in a perplexing situation where they feel guilty or selfish for setting boundaries, a direct consequence of the manipulation they've endured. The narcissist often conditions their victim to prioritize the abuser's needs and desires above their own, leading to a deep-rooted belief that asserting one's own needs is wrong or harmful. This conditioning can be so ingrained that even after leaving the abusive environment, the victim may continue to struggle with the concept of setting healthy boundaries. Understanding these behaviors is the first step toward healing and recovery. If you or someone you know is showing these signs, remember help is available and recovery is possible. Thank you for joining us on Brain Bitesize. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Together, we can shed light on these hidden struggles and support those on their journey to healing.